guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Alana here. Welcome back to 3 Degrees of Love Divination. So happy Yule, Merry Christmas. Of course, I'm filming this 2 days after Christmas. But I hope that you guys had a wonderful holiday. If you celebrate Hanukkah, I believe this year also Hanukkah fell on the 25th. So it was a Christmas Hanukkah, if you will. Yeah, you know, all the other wonderful holidays that is celebrated around this time. You know, I hope that everyone was able to enjoy themselves with family, you know, being able to really embark in the true spirit of the season. Everyone is safe. And for those that may be suffering at this time because of grief in whatever shape or form that may present itself, know that I am holding space for you. I am sending you my love and support. And if you need to reach out to get recommended for resources, or just to have a listening ear who can maybe be a sounding board for you, or be able to find whatever resources you may be looking for, please don't hesitate to reach out. Like I said, my channel is meant to be as safe a space as you can be on the internet, of course. But, you know, just wanting to connect with like-minded individuals who are, you know, wanting to do that healing work and to journey, you know, deeper into self-reflection, and wanting to make that change for healing, for growth. So yeah, so today, if you haven't seen that I did last Sunday, the 22nd, just before Christmas, I did do a collab simulcast with Priscilla of Priscilla's Tarot Corner and Brittany from Cosmic Lunar Soul, and we did the hashtag end of the year tarot, what we're grateful for, and so if you haven't seen that, definitely check it out. It is linked in it is in my on my channel, as well as I'll have it linked in the description box, and of course you can check it out on both of my loving friends channel. Each, of course, it was hosted by Brittany, so you know, it would be there, but it would also be on Priscilla's channel, Tarot Corner, as well. So anyways, so I'm sort of, I've introduced new decks, and I am changing out some decks, and so one of them that you see in front of me, as you can see, here's the Grinch face shaped playing cards that I was talking about. You know, it's all about the Grinch, and I felt like in lieu of working with The Nightmare Before Christmas, I just felt like it also pulling out How the Grinch Stole Christmas playing cards was something that needed to be done. So yeah, you know, because I just feel like it's fitting, considering everything that, you know, is going on in our world right now. And I feel like it's about addressing the shadow within, right? To me, the symbolism of the story with The Nightmare Before Christmas, and you know, and the significance of how the Grinch stole Christmas, if you know the, you know, the story, and all about the Grinch, you know, it's like, it's about, for me, you know, sort of doing shadow work, introspection, and even addressing issues, societal issues. I feel like, you know, How the Grinch Stole Christmas is about really taking that time to really reflect on, because we have both parts within ourselves, right? We have the light, we have the dark, right? Nobody is perfect. We're all perfectly imperfect human beings. You know, but it's about addressing, you know, the parts of ourselves that not only isn't beneficial for us personally, you know, and that hinders our growth, that lowers our vibration and things like that, but also, you know, addressing it, like I said, from the micro, going within self first, and moving out to meso, community, and, you know, and then to the macro, which is globally, right? And just how, you know, seeing and taking responsibility for the darker parts of self that may be hindering our growth and hindering the growth of our community, as well as, you know, globally speaking, like I said. So, you know, and so I feel like How the Grinch Stole Christmas, it's about identifying the Grinch parts of ourselves that are hindering us from really embracing and really illuminating that light, you know, and in embodying the spirit of the holiday season, you know, in all aspects, right? And, you know, and the recognition of what all of us are deserving us, what all of us desire, and how our contributions or lack thereof either make or break, right? Understanding that excuse me, all of our actions and anything that we do will have a rippling effect. And especially when we're in a karmic year and we're closing out this karmic year, you know, with only just about now, we're a few days shy of the end of the year. And we're going to start 2025. We want to start 2025, you know, stepping forth, shedding the old, shedding, you know, the lower vibrational energy that is keeping us stuck from our growth, both on a personal level as well as, you know, globally speaking, right? Doing away with the old ways of thinking, the old ways of reacting, and, you know, letting go of bad habits, addictions, things like that, right? So that's where I feel like the connectivity with the different stories, right? The Nightmare Before Christmas, I feel, sort of addresses, and I just finished watching the movie like before Christmas, actually. And yeah, and between watching and reading the book, some of the things that I feel like were being addressed, and this is obviously from a Disney movie, right? But how it reflects to what I see in our world is I take away from the story of the lack of understanding of differences, right? We have Jack from, and he, from Halloween Town, and he explores different worlds, different realms. He goes to Christmas Town, basically, and, and tries to embody, basically tries to mimic Santa, and goes to, he wants to be like Santa. The issue is that he wants to do it in the way that Halloween style, scaring all the children and all of that stuff, when that's not what that season is. Anyway, it just it to me, how that sort of connects to humanity is the idea of when we are envious of somebody else, that idea of coveting thy neighbor's things, ways, whatever, right? Not understanding one another, or taking the time to really have that emotional intellect and intelligence to be able to be accepting of other people and their traditions, and that idea of trying to mimic things of others that are not right. So misappropriation, one. Two, making assumptions about somebody else, and the negative connotations that go with that, and how disrespectful that can be. Understanding our roots and the behaviors that separate us from each other, right? Spread darkness instead of connectivity, right? Anyways, so that's, to me, what working with The Nightmare Before Christmas, the reading the stories, watching the movie, was all about for me. That really doing that deep dive for introspection of that. Also, and yeah, and the idea that, well, it's a nightmare before Christmas. Why? Because the Grinch is planning how to steal Christmas. So of course there's, and it just to me, it's just a mirrored reflection of the chaos that is currently going on in our world, right around the holidays, right before the holidays. And what I mentioned in a previous video when I was in my Nightmare Before Christmas video, I was talking about addressing our latest well, I live in Canada, so our postal strike, and the rippling effects that had on, or has had on, our community, on the country. And it's the busiest season, the busiest time of year, and the friction that between employee and employer, right? Union and corporation, right? And the effects that it has on the individual, the community, people's families, the businesses, right? Okay, so that's kind of, yeah, where I feel like it was very fitting to be using these decks. And so, yeah. Anyway, on that note, what I really wanted to talk about, and then I sidelined, onto a bigger piece, I guess, if you will, is because now I'm ready to put away the Rainbow Brainskull Oracle deck. This is published by Andrews McMeel Publishing, and it has been created by, one second, double check. Name Ramin Nazar, yes, and what a wonderful deck this has been to work with. And so I had been working, if you remember, I started working with this when I was working with the Grateful Dead tarot decks, I should say, both the indie and mass market. But also I continued, even after working with the Grateful Dead, I continued to work with this deck a little bit, and since I have since rotated in some new decks. I was still working with this while I was working with and still am currently, The Nightmare Before Christmas, tarot, playing cards, and so on and so forth. Also, I showed you the Oracle of Pluto. That one is published by running RP Studios, RP Mystic, Running Press. And I have since rotated in, well, if you remember from my simulcasting live that I recently did last Sunday, like I said, I talked about a deck that I sort of regret not working with more, and I decided to pull it out from that day, and that is the Lonely Dreamer. This is the 3rd edition, and yes, I do have the other 2 previous editions. I also have the Oracle, which the Oracle Dior, done also by Melissa. Actually, other than her, I forget what the name of it is, but other than her dog tarot, created around her actual dog, I have all of her work. I have her 2 Lenormands, all 3 editions of the Lonely Dreamer, and as well as the Oracle Dior. If you would like to see a video on that, drop me a comment in the description box, and I will definitely maybe do a comparison video. Most likely you're probably, because the Oracle Dior is probably coming out very shortly, and since I'm working still with the Lonely Dreamer, and this is a deck I hadn't worked with yet since having it, and I'm so glad I pulled it out. Also, now I feel like the Oracle Dior would be a perfect pairing, of course. Why not? It's the same creator. But this deck, I need to do a separate video, and I will. how, and probably when I bring out Dior, the Oracle Dior, I will be working with them together. I think, yeah, I'm gonna leave what I want to say about the Lily Dreamer Tarot, especially this edition, for that video. So stay tuned. But yeah. Anyways, so okay, back to the Rainbow Skull, Brainskull. So this deck, like I said, I've enjoyed working with it, with all of the other decks that I've like with the Grateful Dead, like I said, and also some of the decks that I've recently rotated in, and this deck has been, it's like a motivating, shadow work, supportive friend, tell you like it is kind of deck, because it does have, I would say, supportive affirmations and things like that, and stuff, but it's also got this sort of very funky, it is very, it's Rainbow Brainskull, right? So there are, the imagery is very colorful, however, seems muted at the same time because of there's a lot of white space on some of the cards, but there's some that look like this too, right? And then the sort of fairly generous white borders, I would say, right, around. So yeah, but it really has some food for thought. There's a lot of sarcasm, I feel like, in this as well, and really sort of hit your face in a very colorful sort of way, kind of thing. Like, for example, we have big mixed barrel of emotion. So, right? And it's that that idea of the self being consumed. So, by our emotions, right? So, and this sort of kind of goes back to what I've spoken about before, and how my piggies came to be, for me to recognize them, and was through some therapy. It was through therapy work, and it was about, understanding when I'm out of my window of tolerance, right? If I'm reacting, if I'm emotionally reacting to a particular situation, if I realize that I may be falling into PTSD trap, right? It's about being able to catch self in some of these moments, right? To do our deep breathing, to help to now regulate our nervous system, and sort of understanding now that I'm out of my window of tolerance, and and really getting to know what the triggers are. So it's about taking that space to separate myself from my emotions, instead of letting my emotions consume me, instead of me being in this big barrel of colorful emotions that has me now out of my window of tolerance, right? And being able to sit separating myself, seeing them as separate from me, and really taking the time to get to know each emotion and why it's there. Similar to what I've spoken about in previous videos when I talk about the concept of saboteurs that created by Shazir Charmaine. I will have a link to his resources, of course, in the description box, and I'll show it in editing. But yes, right? And, you know, understanding, you know, what are the things that are hindering us. So getting, again, goes back to what I'm talking about when I talk about getting to the shadow aspects of self, the Grinch, what, you know, getting to know all aspects, not just the Grinch, right? But all. So anyways, yeah. So that's why I've really enjoyed working with this deck, for that reason. And like here we have a very colorful character. I've always enjoying things. Well, yeah. I used to live in fear, so I know the area well. Yep, hasn't changed much. Right? And so it's just very that sort of in your face, but calling you out, but also giving you food for thought sort of way. And I find this to be very, yes, very, very self-reflective in that manner, right? And so, yeah, very sort of calling you out. Right? And then of course the write-ups, because there's key phrases and stuff on the deck, right? On the cards in the deck. But also, and as you can see, they're numbered. But there's also the write-up in the guidebook. Additionally by the creator, right? And I absolutely love the additional sort of reflective summary that is in the guidebook. So yeah, so this is, and because of it's very colorful, there's several decks that I can, you know, imagine sort of pairing this with, but what I've been pairing with it with, like I've said, is, you know, the Grateful Dead tarot decks, as well as the Nightmare Before Christmas, you know, my Grinch playing cards, but also, like I said, the Oracle of Pluto, which you've seen. I have since pulled out and been using it even alongside the Lonely Dreamer. And I feel like, because why that has been pretty cool is because the Lonely Dreamer tarot is actually very dark in its imagery, and even what it's based off of a French painter known as Odilon Redon, and it was about how he sort of processed you know, everything that he was dealing with mentally speaking, you know, and of course art, being able to express yourself through art, connecting with, you know, art is very, you know, has been and been proven to be a very therapeutic technique for many people, you know, and so, and is why many would recommend it, you know, being able, because it gives that outlet, sorry. And yeah, so anyway, so yeah, I just feel like it helped to, you know, not make it as heavy, almost like being able to deliver the heavy news or the heavy thought-provoking messages that come up, you know, that provoke, you know, questions, you know, for journaling and whatever the message is that you need to receive. I feel like it helps to the contrast, even though the artwork is not at all. But see, the thing is, I'm not picky like that when it comes to the artwork, and because I layer, so I feel like my brain is able to just separate the imagery to really connect the decks and the messages to what I'm picking up from, you know, the text, if you will. What you know, how do the decks speak to each other for me, as opposed to how do they look aesthetically. Yeah, so that's what that's been like, and what it's like for me. And of course I've also pulled out so the Literary Tarot, which is really cool deck. I did back the Kickstarter, and I'll could talk about that in the next video, but the Literary Tarot and how sort of basing things, and as you can see, I do like decks that have that sort of story connection, and the Literary Tarot has been doing an excellent job with how they relate literature to the meanings on the cards, and just sort of I've been enjoying that, and so, you know, I've also been working with it alongside this deck. And finally, I also pulled out Dark Reflections. This is by Lamucci Design, who also did the Phantom Tarot. They've also done the Baroque Tarot, and they have many different decks, but my favorites, or the ones I have, which is I have the Phantom Tarot, and I have this one, of course, which I feel is a fabulous reflective deck. And of course, the dark imagery has just been perfect for pretty much all the decks that I've currently been working with. But yeah, but I still want the Baroque Tarot, and I think that's really right now the only other deck that I still am desiring to get from Lamucci Design at the moment. But yeah, so that is what I have been working with since my last video, since last Sunday, and what, you know, has sort of changed a little bit, and what my experience with. But it's time to put away the Rainbow Brainskull, so I'm ready to rotate that out, and, you know, yeah. So but here's like the guidebook. So let's see, I forget what card that was, the barrel one. Let me see here. That barrel card. Nope. Here we go. Okay, so 63. So let's see, 63. Oh. Okay, so big mixed barrel of emotion, 63. You don't have to label what you're feeling. Just be present with it. What is most important is not trying to escape or avoid your reality. And I love that, because that really, to me, that really speaks to, see, that additional part. I feel like the added phrase here, little paragraph, to go with the card, I feel like it really speaks to the idea of addiction. And the way in which many of us sort of and this, not even just from an individual basis, but even just many, what I feel many are in when I talk about the, this zombie apocalypse that I feel like we're currently in, right? This mental cloud that, we all seem to be flooded by, right? That keeps us disconnected from seeing clearly, seeing the truth of matters, seeing, from, as we close off our heart space because of trauma, we become either so desensitized from what we're seeing that we don't see it, or we're so traumatized that we are easily triggered. So those like me who are sensitive empaths and things like that, it's overwhelming to bear witness, right? Because we don't just see, we feel, right? And so and if you already are dealing with your own set of trauma, to take on and bear witness to what is going out externally, well, that's a whole nother thing, right? No wonder why so many of us are stressed, why we're in a global mental health crisis. Trauma has forced us into this sort of Grinch-like energy, right? Some more than others, of course, right? And then, so, but many are either, what goes hand in hand with mental health concerns is the need to escapism, whether that be escape by overspending, overeating, drinking, alcohol. Well, that's drinking. I meant, sorry, drugs. Right? Self-medicating in ways that lower our vibrations, that check us out from our lives, that keep us isolated, that keep us. So it's and until the issue, the trauma is addressed from the root cause, nothing can really be successfully maintained when that poison is still there, eating us from the inside out, mentally, emotionally, physically, all of it. And then it just becomes this sort of karmic cycle that just continues, right? Because nothing is changing. Things seem to be getting worse. People are robbing each other, traumatizing people, then people are getting traumatized, and then now are on guard, so they are isolated, they're self-medicating, they're withdrawn, they're a zombie, right? Because they still have to live now and support themselves. So there's things like what they call high-functioning depression, high-functioning anxiety. You have people out there that you don't realize are ticking time bombs. Why? Because they're good at masking what is hurting. But what happens when you do that for too long, you will break. I know this firsthand. So, why this work is so important, why the healing work, why I will promote therapy, and why I would never recommend doing any of this work without professional guidance. If you're doing it right, you need professional guidance. I will stand by that 100%. To me, all this, everything else is supplementary. Everything else works collaboratively, cohesively, just the way we all are supposed to be. Humanity cannot survive until we learn how to work together. The further and further we drop away from the truth and from that connectivity that we all share, where does that leave us? Eventually seeing the demise of humanity. So, that's why I've been thrown into this healing journey. That's why I've been stuck in it for so long. That's why I continue to work as hard as I do with what I am doing, and why this work means so much to me. And I hope that it would mean as much to you too. Because, as I always say, I am love, and so are you. As I see myself as human, I know you are too. And as I leave you with all of this today to reflect upon, to share, I hope and will subscribe to, and will comment on whether or not you, this would be something that you would consider picking up and working with, if you are or have, and how you've been working with it, if you were a tarot and oracle a lover, and even if you're a practitioner and are looking for new ways to work with clients, would you pick this up as something that would be worthwhile? Let me know. And as I always say, of course, don't hesitate to reach out. Please, if you need to. But In the meantime, as I leave you today, please take care of yourself and each other. And while you're at it, don't forget about me too. And until next time, and always, live, listen, and learn. I love you. Bye.